Okay, good. Okay, guys, so I'm going to record this part for you guys. We're going to talk about infinitive verbs, gerund verbs, object verbs, and the combined verbs. So this is what you're going to do. There are categories of verbs, right? There's certain types of verbs, and they're divided into certain groups. There are basically 4 major groups. The infinitive verb is going to be a type of verb that is always followed by the preposition to and the verb in the base form. So these are specific categories or groups of verbs. So I'm going to send this list to you guys so you guys can check it out. But for instance, an infinitive verb would be, for instance, the verb want, the verb need, hope, and agree. These are infinitive verbs, which means they're always going to be followed by the preposition to and a verb in the base form. That's why we always say, I want to, I need to, I hope to, I agree to, right? I want to learn, I need to improve, I hope to get hired, I agree to pay. All right, so over here we have the infinitive followed by to and the verb in the base form. So you just have to learn them. You just have to learn them. I'll provide a list so you guys can start studying them. But with high frequency use, the verb want and need are at the top. So if you don't use the preposition, which is a common mistake, I want learn or I need improve, it's not going to work. Or if you use an ing form, I want to learning or I want to improving, then it's going to be incorrect. It would be incorrect use of the language. That wouldn't work. So an infinitive is always followed by the verb in the base form. Okay? Now, a gerund verb is always followed, it's a type of verb that is always followed by the verb in the ing form. So with this type of verb, the gerund verb, you're going to use a verb in the ing form with no preposition. There are many gerund verbs in English. An example, of course, would be the verb enjoy, the verb dislike, the verb finish, the verb recommend, for instance, the verb suggest, etc. These are very frequently used, these are very frequent verbs that we use, right? And they're followed by the ing form. What does this mean? So I'm always going to say, I enjoy teaching, verb in the ing form. He dislikes eating. They finish uploading. They recommend visiting. I suggest trying the lasagna. Okay? So with these type of verbs, you always have to use the verb in the ing form. A common mistake is to use an infinitive. So, for instance, I dislike to play video games. Mistake. I recommend to try the fish. Mistake. Etc. So these would all be mistakes. So that's wrong. Another mistake would be to not use the gerund form, or for instance, and say, I suggest go to the store. That's wrong. Or I finish to prepare. So here we would have mistakes here. This wouldn't work if we don't use the preposition it's also a mistake. Finish, prepare. That's wrong. We have to identify. The thing here is we need to identify. We need to know the verb that we're using and be sure to use it properly. So we say finish preparing. I suggest going. I recommend trying. I dislike playing. So that is a gerund verb, okay? I will facilitate a list, 2 lists. I'll facilitate a complete list, and I will facilitate the most common or most frequent verbs, okay? The third type of verb is an object verb. An object verb is a verb that's followed by a direct object. So an object verb is followed immediately by an object. A direct object, a noun, okay? Examples of object verbs are, for instance, the verb visit, the verb call, are examples of object verbs. They're immediately followed by an object. The verb help is another one, right? So I would say, I visit my mom. I call Pablo. I help the customer. Okay? So here, I visit, you call, they help. Mom would be the direct object of the verb visit. Pablo would be the direct object of call. The customer would be the direct object of help. So all of these are nouns or noun phrases that immediately go after the verb. Okay? So common mistakes are, for instance, to say, I visit to my mom. That's a common one, and especially if you use Spanish as your first language, because in Spanish, visit is always followed by an article. We say visitar a mi mamá. So if we use Spanish, we tend to use to with this type of verb because we use it in Spanish. So that's wrong. I've heard this a lot in call centers. I've heard agents answer and say, for instance, agents, when they answer the phone, their greeting, they would say, thank you for calling. Thank you for calling to Walmart. My name is so-and-so. How can I help you? So here the mistake is to use the to. This is an object verb. So we just need to say, thank you for calling Walmart, not to Walmart. This is wrong. But it's a common mistake if you use Spanish as your first tongue, because in Spanish, call is followed by an article. So we say, in Spanish, we say, llamar a Walmart, llamar a mi mamá, call to my mom, call to Walmart. So that's like the natural translation that we would use. But this wouldn't work in English because call is an object verb. We need to use it directly. So we can't also say, I help to the customer. In Spanish, this is usually followed by an article again. Ayudo a el cliente, a quien. But here, this is an object, so we need no preposition here. We directly need to use the object. That's why we use that. So those are object verbs. The fourth kind of verb that you need to learn will be the combined verb. I call it combined. Other books have other names, right? Just easier. So the object verb is followed by the object. With the combined verb, it A combined verb simply means that it can be followed by an infinitive plus a verb in the base form, or it could be followed by a gerund. In both situations, it would be fine, no problem. Examples of combined verbs are not too many. They're not too many. You can count them with your fingers, 10, 12 maybe. But they are very useful. For instance, the verb like. The verb like always gives people a hard time in Spanish. Another example is the verb love. Is a combined verb. The verb hate is also this type of verb. Prefer, also combined, either it could be followed by an infinitive or a gerund. The verb start and the verb begin. Are we still connected? Are you guys still there? Yeah?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. Just checking. This thing disconnects a lot, right? The verb continue and the verb can't stand. Here you're going to say can't stand and continue. These can be followed by either a preposition to and the verb in the base form, or they can be followed by a gerund. Observe. So, for instance, you could say, I love to learn new things, or I love learning new things. Here, we're good to go. No problem whatsoever. The verb prefer, she prefers speaking English, or she prefers to speak English. To speak. So here we have a gerund verb after prefer, and here we have an infinitive form of the verb speak after prefer. And let's use a present perfect tense. She has preferred. She has preferred hard rock over alternative, let's say. Okay, so here, what I want to make clear is that no matter the tense, you still, well, I didn't use a verb here, just use a noun. Let's use a verb. So, she has preferred to listen to rock, or you could say she's always perfect tense. She's preferred listening to rock. So again, here it doesn't matter what tense. Here it's in the third person. You still have to follow the rules, right? You still have to follow the rules. In the case of preferred, you can use either the infinitive or the gerund. You're good to go. No worries about that. Okay? So there aren't too many verbs, but they're high frequency. They're very common. Let's say, for instance, the verb start. We always use the verb start and the verb begin. We always use it a lot. So, for instance, we could say in the past tense, yesterday, he started to learn. He started to learn. Let's see. Let's say English, right? He started to learn English. Fine. Or you could have said he started learning English, whatnot. With the verb start, it's one of those combined verbs. You can use the infinitive to learn or started learning. You're good. You're fine with start. Same thing with begin. With like. Like gives people a headache, but it's actually very easy. You can say, I like to play sports, or I like playing sports. You're good to go. I like playing sports, or I like to play sports. You're good to go. Okay? And that's how you use them, okay? So that's a combined verb. Combined verbs, you have to learn these. You definitely have to learn these. You have to learn the combined verbs because you're using them all the time. You're going to use them all the time. So just to recap, we have basically 4 types of verbs. Number 1, the infinitive is a type of verb that's always going to be followed by to and the verb in the base form. For example, want. I want to teach you this. Number 2, the gerund verb. The gerund verb is a type of verb that's always followed by an ing form. For example, dislike. I dislike waiting in line at the bank. A third type of verb is the object verb, which is always followed by a direct object, no preposition in between. An example of this would be the verb help. I help my students with their grammar. And number 4 is a combined verb. A combined verb means that you can use it either as the infinitive, and you can use an infinitive after it, or you can use a gerund after it. An example of this is the verb begin, right? We begin to understand, or we begin understanding how to use these type of verbs, okay? So that's it. Okay. Any questions? Are we good to go?